Just a question to Mr Simpson. Obviously, I share your aspiration to reduce taxes, and as such, whilst I understand the argument you make for APDs to be dealt with on a cross-UK basis, I've always argued that my local authorities should be proud of the fact that they've got a lower council tax than the neighbouring authorities. So in that respect, if the power to vary APD was given to the Welsh Government, wouldn't you welcome the possibility that Welsh governments could lead the way in terms of reducing APD and highlighting the economic benefits which you've touched upon in your paper?
Well, I don't dispute that it certainly would benefit some passengers and businesses of South Wales. My concern about that with the sort of cross local authority comparison is that I don't feel it would stimulate good tax competition. I mean, you've got £6 million of revenue from APD derived from basically Cardiff Airport out of a £3.5 billion total. However way that is dealt with between Cardiff Bay and Westminster, whether it be a reduction in the block grant or a compensation or nothing at all, I mean, HMRC is not going to be overly fussed about the revenue loss from devolving APD and potential abolition. And our concern is that if there were just devolving it to Cardiff Bay, a reduction, then a full abolition, that kind of conversation wouldn't be happening in Westminster, and so English airports and users of English airports across Wales would not benefit from a similar cut which Cardiff had been advantaged by. So again, that's why APD, we feel very strongly, has to be addressed in a UK-wide approach. The ambition should definitely be abolition post-Brexit, but
on the issue of dealing with it across the UK, hasn't that horse already bolted, in fact?
Well, yes, to a certain degree. I mean, obviously, there's difficulties with Scotland, as was alluded to by a previous witness, and I think particularly on that point, that's quite important. I mean, the transfer of that and the bureaucracy required for HMRC is not too difficult, but I think if the problem particularly is the PSOs, right? So from the Scottish mainland up to the islands, and I don't see why a similar kind of concern wouldn't be raised in Westminster if that was also eventually transferred. Again, I mean, of the Northern Ireland experience as well, the abolition of long haul APD. We haven't seen an increase in long haul flights. I think there's one seasonal journey to Florida by Virgin Atlantic from Belfast International. There hasn't been a dramatic increase in long haul journeys from Belfast. Obviously, the circumstances are quite distinct. The Republic has abolished their aviation tax, but on the basis of the existing evidence across the UK in both Northern Ireland and Scotland, the big upturn in demand and the bureaucratic ease which some assume of that happening just hasn't yet materialised.